What's up, YouTube party people? Yo, gonna do a little aftermarket stereo upgrade here on the old 2005 Prius. It's got the factory unit in right now, but I'm gonna do the stealth install as made famous by whatever that guy's name is. So the stereo will go in here, and you can flip this up and kind of tuck it away. Come back to, I got my cord in there. Well, that's no good. And then I'm also going to mount this thing. This old tried and trusty beast is going to go up about here. So I have that mounted, and I'll tuck away these wires for the antenna and for the power, because right now it's going into the down in the console, in the center console, which is not real slick. So when I'm done, I'll have a little Bluetooth. I have a little better mounted for the Sirius XM deal, and we'll get started. I'm just going to pull this dash apart. I'm not really going to show you guys that. There's some good videos out there on that, but there's just a couple screws down kind of by the pedals here, and once you get those couple screws out, you just start popping pieces. Pop this vent, this vent, this vent. You pull the dash up, whoops, you pull this bottom piece down, and then you pull this whole unit forward, and then I'll cut this for a second. I'll show you what we got after everything's pulled apart. Thanks. Okay, the dash is disassembled. I just kind of laid the main display up top, left this thing dangling. Other people have taken it off. It's up to you. This button's a pain in the tuchus to try to get off, this parking button, so I just left it. Anywho, I wanted to stop here and point something out that I had not seen in any other videos, and I watched a ton. Oh, this is not needed anymore. This is an old part. I took that out. That is, when you pull this factory radio out, there's 3 connectors. Well, there's 4 connectors on the back. One's for a CD changer. But the factory harness leaves you 3. 1, 2, 3.
And then this?
Thank you. Just leave it there, honey. The middle one is a 20-pin connector that really doesn't do a heck of a whole lot. These are the 2 main ones for your power and ground and speakers. This one, you need this one because I am also installing this little steering wheel interface so I can keep my controls, because I love these little buttons. I don't want to lose that by putting an aftermarket stereo in, and I held off for a long time because I really didn't want to mess with it. But this thing comes with a harness, and one thing, and some pretty good instructions, but one thing I think was lacking from those instructions was talking about there's a white control wire, at least for this Prius. This is a harness. This plugs into that little blue box. And there's one long white cable coming off here. Wire, I should say. And they say to plug this into pin, I can't remember, it's either 7 or 8, of this 20-pin connector. Well, you can't just shove it in there, obviously. So what you have to do, you have to break into, find where that pin is on the back here, break into that wire, sorry, and splice that control wire into the back of this connector. And I didn't really understand that from the instructions, but that's the key. Another guy did a really good video, this Lesco guy, on how to put this harness together. He did an excellent video, but I didn't like how when he went to put it in his caddy, he said, "Oh, I'm going under the steering wheel here and going to connect something," and he never saw what he was doing exactly. You don't need to go under the steering wheel. You just do it all right here, right on this guy. So there's 2 or 3 wires I have to connect to the back of this thing, so I have to cut into this. And this company, this PAC, they say you've got to do a military splice, which is basically cutting a hole in this wire and then shoving the other wire through it, and they used it in Desert Storm, or I don't know what they did, but I'm just going to use the regular old caps like my Lesko buddy did. I'll just do a 3-way splice with caps like this, and I think that's going to be just good enough. So I'll get to work on that, but just wanted to point that out. Oh, and the one other thing, I bought this Metra harness. There's a bunch of companies do these, but the Lesko guy did this too. 2 connectors for the Prius. Boom, boom. Go to these 2, and then this third, the one I just talked about, the 20 pin, is the one the control wire hooks up to for the steering wheel interface. So I'll get to work on these. Be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. I did the Stealth stereo install on this guy. Notice the faceplate's off on the aftermarket. It's a Pioneer unit. I highly recommend taking that off before you do any work so you don't get it all buggered up. So I just want to mention the guy who did the Stealth stereo Prius video is much better at this than I am and did a much more detailed job, but I did one thing that differed on mine. See those 4 screws towards the top, the bolts that hold the factory unit in? I think on his video he borrowed one of those to hold the bottom, where my thumb is here, the Pioneer unit in. I tried that, and that threaded hole, it's not even really a threaded hole, it's like a weird looking, whatever's going on the side of the Pioneer would not take that bolt. So I dug around in the box that the stereo came in, and it had these little Phillips kind of panhead screws, so I ended up using those on both sides. Here's the other one. And I think this will line up. I haven't fit checked it yet, but I really quick wanted to go over the back of this thing, and it's a Pioneer. God, I don't know what the model number is. I'll tell you here at the end. But I've got a few connections. I just wanted to kind of show you guys what it is. So this one here is going to the steering wheel remote control, little PAC unit. That's to have that, you know, the controls available on the steering wheel to interface to the back of this new aftermarket unit. This is just a harness that came with the Pioneer. And then I've got one more here. I've got this auxiliary. This is another product from the fine people at Pacific Audio, an SNI-1/3.5 millimeter filter. And the reason I got this, I've been driving around with this thing hanging off the side of the radio, but with that XM unit, since it gets powered while it's, you know, while you're listening to it, you get some noise, like some real high frequency irritating buzzes and stuff. This thing knocked it right down. This thing's amazing. So I will be burying this in the dash with everything else. And then yeah, that's it. Now I just need to, like I talked about, just kind of cut into the back of this big connector and splice a couple wires. I'll look at the instructions here and show you in a minute. And then button everything back together. Should be good. Okay, so I've got the 3 wires spliced in according to the notes here. Fortunately, I had this is a good point to make. I had the version with the white-black wire, which does not, I repeat, does not call for a resistor. So I emailed them about that, and they said that's the newer version. You don't need to put the resistor in there. So you got a picture of the resistor. You don't need a resistor. We're filming, Ollie. So anyway, 3 wires out of the PAC unit. There's the PAC. This old guy. We got white, black, and black. And we connected them as they instructed. So there you go. Move forward. Okay, just real quick, a thought just came to me on this dang thing, this 20 pin job. That, oh, by the way, here's the instructions from PAC, Pacific Audio, and there's that picture of that 20 pin, and it tells you how to connect things up. I went ahead and looked at the back of this connector where these wires go, and then I wrote it down. 6's red, 7's black, 8's white, 9's pink, and 10's white, purple. I took a purple pen and put a little purple mark on it because there's 2 white wires, just to keep them straight. Now, the cleanest way to do this would be to leave this thing intact and to do like a 3-way splice back here. I just had a thought, I'm going to cut this whole thing off and put it somewhere where I'm sure I'll forget in 10 years or whatever if ever I go to sell this car. That's the whole point. If you're going to keep the car forever, you cut this off, wire this bad boy on in and call it a day. But if I were to turn around and want to sell this in a year or whenever, I'd need to put this connector back on to plug into that dang factory unit to make that work, or it wouldn't work so well. So, but for my purposes, I don't want to do a 3-way splice. I'm going to cut these off. I'm going to keep this pigtail, put it away somewhere. Like I said, probably won't remember where I put it, but then I can just do some clean 2-way splices between the harness on this guy and this thing. It's going to be a lot cleaner. So I'll do that now and then I'll show you what I did. Thanks. Okay, I finished my stereo install. There it is. This little Pioneer unit. It's a beaut. And I put this little Pantech, I think, makes this little holder for the XM. It's a really old XM unit, but it works really well, so I kept it in there. And I've just got the let's see, I've just got it hooked into my auxiliary. But then a couple comments on this that, oh, this is the stealth mode, so I usually just keep it closed like that. So I don't want some dirtbag breaking in here and stealing it. But that thing, that 20-pin connector on the back, basically I had to, my idea was wrong. I cut it all off and thought I could just tap into those few wires. Well, once I hooked everything up, unfortunately, the temperature there, 63 degrees, it's a nice day, did not work. So I basically had to put that 20-pin connector there. I think 3 or 4 wires I had to put back in. Oh yeah, one other thing. There's the microphone stashed up there. I just ran the wire up this column, which is pretty, you just kind of twist it this way and it comes out. You got to take the dash out and then you got to pry this little tan piece out, but it comes out pretty easy. It's just like a screwdriver. But anyways, you gotta keep that connector on there is what I found. So splice, do like a 3-way splice on those few wires and plug the connector into the back of the existing head unit, even though I'll never use it again. I'm not sure what it is, but something about that made it not work. But once I plug that back in, and one other note, I had that PAC steering wheel control, the SWI-RC. Think really hard about what you want these buttons to do. On this model of Prius, I only have basically 5 buttons. Volume up and down. Mode is for like which band basically you want on a radio, which now I kind of almost wish I'd have made that mute. And then up and down is which station, and now I almost kind of wish I'd have made that like maybe pick up phone and hang up phone for Bluetooth. But I'm getting used to just, if somebody calls me, I just hit the little phone button here, and it works pretty well. So, but I try to keep this closed as much as possible. But anyway, that's it. For like $100 for the stereo, like $40 for the PAC unit, and then this little Pantech thing was $30. Oh, one last thing. I got the satellite antenna is just kind of sitting there, and I've just got this thing. It isn't the cleanest looking thing. I just grabbed power from the cigarette lighter. I was going to put a little adapter behind there, like a little extra thing, but I just got impatient and said the hell with it. This doesn't bother me too much. I've still got the cigarette lighter that's in this center console, so that's good enough for me. Anyway, that's my video, and hope you like it, and hope it helps you. Have a good day.